So, with that little rundown complete, let's move to some stories that deserve a little more time. The first one is more of a series of stories. It's Donald Trump's no good, very bad, terrible press weekend. Is this actually was this bad for Trump this weekend, or did he successfully sort of divert away from the real blitz that was hitting him? In the debate on Thursday, Rubio finally stood up, started hammering Donald Trump on, you've hired immigrants even though you say they're taking American jobs. You had a fraudulent university. You won't release your taxes because you don't have as much money as you say you do. Hitting him in, every kidney and organ that he has where he thinks he's weak. Donald Trump didn't want everyone talking about that all weekend, and when Donald Trump doesn't want you talking about something, he goes and does something you're going to want to talk about 10 times more. Just to try to run down all of the things that Donald Trump did this weekend. He was endorsed by David Duke. It's a terrible race. He was head of the Ku Klux Klan. He's a big fucking deal. People know the name David Duke. And Donald Trump, when asked about it, said he didn't know who David Duke was. And then, he'd have to he wouldn't just disavow an organization right off the bat, he'd have to look into it. Then, of course, everyone pointed out that a few years ago, he'd disavowed David Duke. He had Chris Christie endorse him. And there's this great clip of him being like, go get back on the, okay. Christie brings him out to speak, and then Donald Trump shakes his hand and is like, okay, now go get back on the plane. And Christie's just like, all right, boss, yes, sir. And he said he would get rid of or weaken libel laws so that you could make it much easier to sue the press. When he was, called out on the fact that obviously who David Duke is, he blamed a lousy earpiece, saying he was sitting in a house in Florida with a very bad earpiece they gave me. Even though he repeated David Duke back right before he refused to disallow the guy. Then we have Joe Scarborough, who basically has been Donald Trump's little butt boy. He has him on there and he floats little softball questions to him, and he tells him he's a great guy. However, apparently his KKK ignorance is disqualifying. It's breathtaking, he said. The most stunning thing is that it's not even buying him a vote. So he basically thinks that not only is this offensive, it's bad politics. And then we have today he has this crazy rally where Black Lives Matter shows up to protest and a photographer gets chokeslammed. So the Time magazine photographer says, I stepped 18 inches out of the press pen, and then an agent of security guard for Donald Trump grabbed me by the neck and started choking me, and then he slammed me to the ground. A group of protesters from Black Lives Matter was escorted away from the raucous rally as the crowd around them began to chant, all lives matter. Then Donald Trump, up at the podium, he goes, folks, you're gonna hear it once, all lives matter. And at another point, when a demonstrator was being ejected from the rally, Trump said, oh folks, isn't it sad? We've gotta unify our country. We've got to unify our country. But it is fun and exciting. So there's not any video that I could find of the actual chokeslam happening, despite it going down in a press pen. But here's... The crazy thing to me, not just the fighting that was just going on there, listen to the background noise at this rally. That's insane. This is a presidential political event for the leader of the party that is supposed to be the values, the unemotional, the reasonable party. But that they're supposed to be the, mature adult party, and the liberals are supposed to be the, little kids with dreams and, literally young people and crazy, passionate people. That was a wrestling match. That was literally, if you put that audio next to a WWE event, the only way I would be able to tell is that the WWE event would have more applause and less booing. So that's absurd. Morris, the guy who was thrown to the ground, was a war photographer. So that's fun. This guy comes back to America, figures he's got a nice cushy job following a presidential candidate around, ends up getting chokeslammed. The question over who this guy is, who attacked him, apparently he was wearing a badge on his hip and a red lapel pin which is normally worn by government agents. So this is not like private security, this is probably Secret Service, which does beg the question, does Donald Trump deserve the blame for his response? I think he just, maybe he certainly sets the tone. He certainly is responsible for that background noise. But I don't know that you can really hit him for the hit. Let's get some more video. That look on that guy's face, let's go back a second. Look at this guy's face, the agent's face. Right there is when he goes, oh shit. One more video. This one has a little more of the aftermath. Body slammed by a police officer and then escorted out. I don't even know what to say at this point. Tomorrow Trump's going to win a whole bunch of elections. They did not get this attack together in time. It's going to give him at least second place. It's going to guarantee him at least second place status no matter what happens for the rest of the primary. So the man is not going away. The man is going to be with us until the convention. Odds are he's actually going to win the nomination. The question I'm going to be asking later is going to be, is it a good thing that Donald Trump is bringing all of this anger and racism to the front? The thing that is most striking about the whole Donald Trump phenomenon is how little of the responsibility he personally deserves. He didn't convince anyone to be racist, to hate immigrants, to be angry. He didn't take people who were reasonable and, there's the John Oliver thing that's floating around, and he calls it a spell that Donald Trump is casting on these people. It's not a spell. It's very much not a spell. He is more like a conduit for their anger. It's hard to talk about him in the terms of a populist, of someone who is, really doing the people's bidding. But that's what he's doing. He did not create this. He is not really to blame for it. He is just giving voice to feelings that existed already. Feelings that really, where the spell was cast was by, the sort of, what Jon Stewart calls the conflictinator, the angry, deceptive. Here we're talking about right-wing media, but I would just, with the caveat that there's also very bad things in the liberal media. But in the conservative media, they play on these dog whistle politics. They play on ginning up fear and anger to control a group of people who really don't believe what they're saying. Conservatives, establishment conservatives, they honestly, until about a month ago, thought people really believed in trickle-down economics and, low deregulation and all these sort of high-minded principles that they tout. They thought that, I'm going to play this audio for you guys again. They thought that rabble, now, that rabble is not exactly the GOP base. There's a lot of study or polls coming out finding that actually the Trump base is sort of moderate, even left-leaning, middle-class, blue-collar workers. But still, a lot of them are in here. They thought this group of people cared about, deregulation and I've only got these two examples, but the rest of the conservative platform that is very sort of often requires intellectual loop-de-loos to get your head around. They thought that's what was driving these people, and not the sort of wink-wink, nudge-nudge racism, anger, bullshit.